Hello students, welcome to yet another problem from Pathfinder Physics. This question is from electrostatics chapter and probably from the section of challenge your understanding, right? So in this question, this one closed loop of a string of total length L is given, and on this string there are three charged beads that these beads can slide. So of course in a gravity free space they will slide such that these strings will have some tension, right? So it will take up a shape of this particular triangle, right? We have to determine what are going to be the lengths of these part of the triangle or the sides of the triangle, and we also have to find condition between charges, right? Or condition among the charges, whatever the condition should be there so that this condition arises, right? So now let's move on to the solution of this problem, right? So there are going to be some coulombic forces on the charges, as well as the tension force will also be acting, or the resultant of the tension force will be also acting on each of the charges, right? So let us for the sake of simplicity, let us begin with analyzing only one of the charges, right? So let's begin with this charge q3 here. What are the forces that are acting on this charge q3, right? So first, this force that q2 will apply on q3. So there is an interaction of force between charges q2 and q3, and the distance between them is L1. So we are calling that force, and all the charges are positive, so force will be repulsive. So let me call this force as F1, and I'm taking the notation based on the distance between the charges, right? So the distance between these two is L1, so this force is F1. Similarly, between these two charges, there will be repulsive force along this direction, and I should call this force F2 because the length between them is L2, right? Let me call the angle between these two forces as gamma, right? So this angle will also be gamma. Again, I'm taking the sign conventions that opposite to this L1 length, I will consider alpha. Opposite to this L2 length, this angle inside the triangle, I would call it beta, and opposite to this L3 length, the angle would be gamma, right? And we'll see that we should will not be needing much of the calculation that I'm actually telling that I should be considering, right? Why? Because if you see here, the only force that is left out in this case is the tension forces, and since the string is same, frictionless string is there, so the tension force everywhere in this string is going to be same, right? So one force will be acting towards the left, right? And the tension force is T. Another force is along this direction and tension is T, right? So this Q3 charge is in equilibrium, and there are four forces that are acting on that, right? So instead of resolving the forces in particular direction and solving that, what is even better, that let's take the resultant of these two tension forces, right? Because these two forces are same and the angle between them is gamma, so of course the resultant of these two tension forces will be along the bisector line, right? So it will be making angle gamma by 2. So the net of these two tensions are going to be equal to, take the component of one force along this direction, so that will be T cos gamma by 2, and the same will be for this tension force. So the net of these two forces will be 2T cos gamma by 2, right? So instead of these four forces, I can say, let me cross these out so that I don't get confused how many forces are acting, right? So it is a habit of mine to teach you all that you should do that. If you have taken the components of the forces, you should at least erase that, or put a cross sign or whatever mental mark that these forces are not to be taken in consideration because this resultant has been taken away. Now the three forces are acting on this charged particle Q3, that is in equilibrium, and we can apply for this condition of equilibrium the Lami's theorem, right? It tells about the three forces when the particle is in equilibrium, right? So what are going to be the angle between force vectors? So one angle is here, gamma. What will be the another angle? If you see here that this whole line is a straight line, right? So this total angle will be 180. This angle is gamma. So this angle will become 180 minus gamma, right? So let me choose another color. Let me take blue color. So the first angle will be this angle, right? Between f1 and 2t cos gamma by 2. And this angle will be nothing but this angle, that is 180 minus gamma plus gamma by 2. That will come out to be 180 degree minus gamma by 2. Very similar to the same argument, we can say this angle is going to be also same, pi minus gamma by 2 or 180 minus gamma by 2, right? Now let's come to the calculation part here. Writing down the Lami's theorem equation, right? So this force divided by sine of the angle between these two vectors, right? So the first is 2t cos gamma by 2 divided by sine gamma is equal to f1 divided by sine pi minus gamma by 2. That will become actually sine gamma by 2, and that is equal to force F2 by the same angle. So it will become sine gamma by 2, right? Now if you just manipulate this term here, sine gamma can be written as 2 sine gamma by 2 into cos gamma by 2. So 2 cos gamma by 2 will get cancelled. What we will get here, this term will actually become t by sine gamma by 2, and you can see that in this equation the denominator is same for all of this. So we can write t equal to f1 equal to f2, and if you do that on any other charge q2, you'll get another equation which will tell you that t will be actually equal to f3 also, right? So just using this analysis on only one charge, we can say that all the forces are actually equal in magnitude, right? So if I write the equation of these forces F1, F2, because these are Coulombic forces, so what I will be writing as F1 equal to F2 equal to F3, and the expression in F1 will be equal to K Q2 Q3 by L square. So K is common, so we'll cancel it out. What will remain here? Q2 Q3 by L1 square equal to, for F2 charges will be Q1 Q3 and distance will be L2. So there is a sort of symmetry here, or L2 square, and for the last part it will be Q1 Q2 by L3 square, right? And from here you can invert this whole thing and take some constant equal to C, and from here it is very easy for all of you to say that L1 is to L2 is to L3 is going to be equal to under root of all this, right? So this will be root of Q2 Q3 is to root of Q1 Q3 is to root of Q1 Q2, right? And the total length, of course, of the string is L, of which we are taking cutting it in 3 parts. So of course, if I want to determine the length L1 only, that will come out to be this part here divided by all of these ratios, right? So it will come out to be root of Q2 Q3 by root of Q1 Q2 plus Q2 Q3 plus Q3 Q1, right? Multiplied by the total length L, right? And in the same way we can write for L2 and L3 also. I'm not going to write it. This is very self-evident that you can you have determined the ratio, so of course you can write the lengths also. And what was the another part that we had to do? We had to determine the relation between the charges such that this condition will be somehow physically possible, right? So for one case, in such kind of situation, we always have to deal about that what if the tension was 0? What if the string can somehow become slack? So we should be checking for that also. Will it be possible? No. Why no? Because all the charges are positive or negative. I mean, they are similarly charged. So the forces between them must be repulsive. So it is just very simple to conclude just from observation that actually the strings are going to be tight. So there is going to be no condition on the charges as long as the charges are of same sign, that the tension in the string will become negative, right? So this is going to be always positive. So this condition we do not have to bother about, right? So what other condition we can take, right? Will it be possible to uh, for this physical situation for any of the given charges? No. There has to be some condition, and that condition should come from the geometry of this triangle, right? For the triangle, we know that sum of the two sides are actually going to be greater than or equal to. In this case, this is never going to be about a triangle in one line, right? So even if that is the case, so mathematically speaking, we can always say that sum of two sides L1 plus L2, let's say, is less than or equal to L3. Very similarly, we can say that L1 plus L3 is going to be less than or equal to L2. And we have determined the ratios. So denominator is going to be same. So we should not bother about. So we can write here in terms of L1, we'll be getting Q2, Q3 plus for L2, the charge Q2 must be absent. So Q1, Q3 must be less than or equal to, for L3, Q3 will be absent. So Q1, Q2 and things like that. We can just expand all of that. We'll have three conditions. So corresponding to these three conditions, we'll be getting three equation or three relation in the charges also. And we can also expand for the condition of geometrical condition, that difference of the two sides should be less than the third side. We can also write the relation between charges in terms of the difference also, right? So I can write L1 minus L2 mod value should be less than or equal to L3, and we can do that also, right? So these are going to be the conditions for this case. I hope you liked the solution. If you did, please share it with your friends and like, comment, share, whatever.